This con this conference will now be recorded.
A pleasant morning to one and all present here. Myself, P. Jayashree from second year CSC department. May God give you the grace to pray and the desire to read the Holy Bible. And the Lord's Prayer reminds us that God longs for His people to communicate with Him, not just in church on Sunday, but wherever we are and whatever our need. So now I call upon Geraldine Inola from second year CSC department for Bible reading followed by Lord's Prayer. Over to you, Geraldine.
Today's reading is taken from the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verses 20 to 23. Many peoples and great nations will come to seek the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts says this: there will be other peoples yet, and citizens of great cities, and the inhabitants of one city will go to the next and say, come, let us go and entreat the favor of the Lord, and seek the Lord of hosts. I am going myself, and many peoples and great nations will come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem, and to entreat the favor of the Lord. The Lord of hosts says this: in those days, 10 men of nations of every language will take a Jew by the sleeve and say, we want to go with you, since we have learned that the God is with you. This is the word of God. Thanks be to Him. Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Geraldine. Now I call upon V. Tejaswani from second year CSC department for giving welcome speech followed by introduction about our resource person. Over to you, Tejaswani.
Thank you, JST. Good morning to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all. On behalf of Loyola Institute of Technology, Management, Administrator, Principal, Vice Principal, HODs, and faculties of all departments, we wholeheartedly welcome our resource person, V. Ramachandran, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Loyola Institute of Technology, and all our first year students for this bridge course program. I am very delighted to introduce our resource person, V. Ramachandran. He had completed Bachelor of Technology in Information Technology in National Institute of Technology, Trichy in 2005 and Master of Technology in Computer Science and Engineering in SRM University, Chennai in 2013. He has 14 years of teaching experience in various engineering colleges. We are proud to have you here, sir. Once again, I welcome you all for this first year bridge course. Over to you, JST.
Thank you, Tejaswani. I'm very happy he is with us to make the session more interesting and knowledgeable. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving your precious time for us. We all are eagerly waiting to your wonderful session, sir. On investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So now I call upon Mr. V. Ramachandran, sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Sir, the session is yours. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma. So, good morning to you all. So, So I'm going to introduce basics computer concepts. Okay. So before going to Python, so, so definitely all the persons should know the basic knowledge of computer. Okay. So not all the students have the all the terminologies of basics. Okay. So I will give you the brief introduction to the computer first class. So now I am going to give you a presentation. So what is a basic of computers? We have to know it is hardware and software. Okay. So what is the hardware means? These are all the electronics devices. Okay, the computer equipments. Okay. So what are all the parts we are going to see is called as hardware. Okay. So hardware is nothing but the computer equipments. So majorly we are going to see what are the devices. Okay, keyboard, mouse, monitor. These are all the devices we are going to see. So it is called as hardware. Okay. The electronic parts of the computer. The major components are okay, hardware parts. Okay, yeah. So what is software means? It is a program which tells the computer what to do. The computer itself cannot do anything. Okay. We are going to give the instructions to the computer. Based on the instruction only, the computer going to execute the instruction. Okay. So computer itself cannot work anything. So we are going to give the instructions to the computer what to do. So this is called as a software. Okay. So these are all the terminologies about hardware and software. So hardware is a basic electronic computer components. Okay. So it is the equipments of the system is called as hardware components. So software is a programs which is tell the computer what to do. Okay. So these are all the basic terminologies. So in detail, so what are all the hardware components available? What are all the software components available? We are going to see next. So in hardware, we have three major components. One is input, another one is processing, and the third one is output. Okay. So what is input is, I already told you, the computer itself cannot work anything. Okay, it cannot do anything itself. So we are going to give the instructions to the computer. This is called as input. So after the input, the system going to process. That is called as processing. Okay. So the processing is the execution. So what are all the instructions we gave? That will be executed by the system. That is called as the processing. Then the result is called as output. So what is the execution output is comes for output. So these are all the three basic parts of the computer: input, processing, output. So what is the external storage is? So the major advantage of the system is reusability. So whatever we need, we can store and whenever we require, we have to retrieve the whatever we need. So for that, we use the storage part. So the basic computer operations are input, processing, output, and storage. Okay. So what are all the input devices we have to use? This the major input device is the keyboard. Okay, so keyboard is the main input device of the computer system. So it is most commonly used for the input, because we have to provide the informations to the system through the keyboard. It have the alphanumeric keys and special keys and the other functional keys. So all the requirement what we need to give the instructions to the computer, we have to use this keyboard. Then the second input device is the mouse. Mouse is used for the pointing device. Okay, so keyboard used for give the alphanumeric characters like that, special characters, extra. So mouse is used for the pointing device. Okay, so we are going to choose the options. We are going to give the easiest options through the mouse. Through the mouse, we can easily choose the options on the screen. So other than this keyboard and mouse, there are so many input devices we have. So what are all the input devices means? For example, scanner. Scanner is the major device for giving the image input. So using the keyboard, we give the instructions to the computer through the alphanumeric keys. Suppose I want to give an image input to the system, means we have to use the scan. Okay. Then trackball, track point, touch pad, these are all the other pointing devices for give the input in placement of mouse. For example, for playing the video games, we have to use the trackball to move the options. That is called as pointing devices. So like other input devices are digital camera. So we have to do the image input, then we have to use the digital camera, and also voice. Through the voice also we can give the instructions to the computer, and also touch screen is the latest technology we have to use. So instead of choosing the option through the mouse, we can easily interact with the system through the touch. Okay, so these are all the other major input devices. So what is output devices? Monitor and printer. These are the major output devices. So what is monitor is? So monitor is the displaying the result. So we can give the instructions, then it is processed. Now we can see through the output through the monitor. So the monitor's resolution is how clear the picture. The quality is represented by the resolution. Yeah. The high quality resolution have the 1600 into 1200. Okay. The other output device is the printer. That is, we have three types of printers: laser printer, inkjet printers, and dot matrix printers. These are the printers we are going to use for output. So once we need the hard copy of the output, we can use the printers for getting the output as the hard copy. So whatever we can see in the monitor is called as soft copy. So we need a hard copy, means we can take the output through the printers. Okay. So these are all the types of printers, that is laser printer, inkjet printers, dot matrix printers. So other than the three main function, I told us information storage. So whenever we store the information, then only we have to retrieve the information. So we can store the informations in the form of zeros and ones. Okay. So in the system, whatever the information is converted into the bits. Okay. The bits only in the 0 and 1. Okay. So all this information is converted into the binary digits that is called as zeros and ones. So these zeros and ones can be 8 bits make up of byte. A byte is called as, can store the informations in the binary form. So in a 8 bits make a 1 byte. Okay. So you can store a single character, it requires 1 byte. Okay. So it takes 1 byte to store a character, whatever it is. It takes 1 byte information space to store the system. So what are the other memory terms means? So I already told you byte is 8 bits. So what approximately 1000 bytes makes 1 kilobytes. So we have to specify the memory terms through these KB, MB, and GB. That is kilobyte, megabyte, and gigabyte. Yeah. So approximately 1000 bytes makes 1 kilobyte, and 1000 kilobytes makes 1 megabyte. Okay. And 1000 megabytes make 1 gigabyte. So nowadays we are going to use the hard disk size in the gigabyte only. So it have the maximum storage. So what is the exact actually of our memory size? That's 1024 bytes. Okay. 1024 bytes makes 1 kilobyte in the original memory management scheme. So approximately we are specifying 1000 in kilo. That's why we are specifying that 1000 bytes are kilobyte like that. So next important topic is central processing. So in a computer, the CPU is the main part. So it is the brain of the computer. It is going to perform what are all the operations going to execute. So these operations are performed by this central processing unit, simply called as CPU. Okay. So the CPU have the processor to process the instructions. So it executes the instructions and give the output. The CPU is the brain of the computer. Yeah, it is going to perform all these operations. So what is the clock speed is? We are going to specify the CPU speed through the megahertz and the gigahertz. Okay. The number of cycles per second a computer can operate. Okay. So we are going to specify the speed of the computer, how fast they are going to execute. Okay. We are going to specify through this megahertz or gigahertz. So nowadays we are having only gigahertz. So 1 megahertz equal to 1 million cycles per second. What is the computer speed is? 1 megahertz equal to 1 million cycles per second. And 1 gigahertz is 1 billion cycles. So normally the computers nowadays have 2 to 4 megahertz. So we are going to specify the CPU speed in megahertz and gigahertz. And memories. So we are having 2 types of memory. So the internal memory and external memory. So what is internal memory is? One is a random access memory, simply called as RAM. So it is a random access memory. So CPU can access any location as quickly as other. So it is called as RAM. So the RAM can only read the current info. It is very important to determine the capabilities of the computer system. So we are going to use this RAM size. So we have more RAM size means we have the more memory space. So the RAM is main part of the specifying the computer capability. And another internal memory is read-only memory. Okay. So the read-only memory is called as ROM. So it can read the stored information in the ROM. For example, it is used for internal workings of computer. We cannot write into the information into the ROM is only the read-only part. So the name itself is specified read-only memory. Yeah, it is used for internal workings of computer. These are all internal memories. So random access memory, read-only memory. Okay. So what is external memory is? So we want to store more information. So this RAM and ROM is only for the system purpose. Yeah. So we have to store our information in the storage devices. So the storage devices mainly it is hard disk. It is simply called as HDD. So HDD is the hard disk drives. So hard disk drive means it is the major storage device for store the user information. Okay. Storage devices nowadays having the minimum 40 GB. So the minimum 40 GB up to we have 500 GB or 1 TB, even in terabyte, and even gigabyte. Nowadays we can have the terabyte. Okay. So this hard disk is used to store informations permanently. Okay. What are all the informations we have already in the previous internal memory have only the temporary we can store the information, the RAM and the ROM. Yeah. The random access memory and the read-only memory is a small memory. For temporarily we are going to process the instruction, but we can store our files with the hard disk devices. So these devices are having the more capacity, so we can store the files. The other is CDs. Yeah. So simply we are called a CD. It is compact disk. Yeah. So we are storing the small memory using the CD-ROMs. So we can use like music CDs. Yeah. So the CDs are used can store 650 megabytes. Yeah. So another is DVD. DVD is another storage device that is store up to 17 GB. So compared to CD, DVD have more space. So we can store more information. That is called as DVD, digital versatile disk. Okay, we can store more information. Even we can put full length of movies using the DVD. So the CDs and DVDs can be using the CD read-write or DVD read-write drives. Using the DVD or CD drives, we can use the CDs and the DVDs. Suppose we are having the informations now, we can read the information from the CD, or we want to write the information now, we have to use this read-write. Yeah. So CD read-writer or DVD read-writer drives for storing the information to the CD or DVD. So mainly these devices used for data backup. Okay, so we want to take some backup information. Now we have to use these CDs and DVDs. So what are the other storage devices? We have to use now USB drive. The USB drives may be very popular now for taking the data backup to transfer the files. So I need to have some data backup now. We need to use this USB drive. Instead of using the CDs and DVDs, nowadays we are going to use the USB drives. The USB drives have many different sizes. Minimum is 1 GB and maximum we are having 120 GB. And similar that tab drive. Tab drive is also used as a backup device. It is similar to cassette. Yeah, in a tab drive. It is also used for the store the information. For a large scale industries, they are using the tab drives. And also we have the expansion slots in the CPU used for connecting the external devices. So, for example, we need to connect the modem. We have to use some additional ports. That port is called as expansion slot. Okay. The expansion slot have the additional devices. For example, serial port, parallel port, and USB port. So these ports used for connecting the devices. For example, in the parallel port, primarily used for connecting the printer. So we have to connect the printer through the parallel port. Modem, mouse, these are all the devices we are going to connect in serial port. Okay. And also we are connecting the USB through the USB port. Okay. So the port is nothing but we are going to connect the other devices in the computer. We need the ports. So one is parallel port, another one is serial port, another one is USB. So parallel port primarily used for printers and serial port used for mouse, modem, and other devices. And USB used for connecting the digital cameras, USB, disk, MP3 players. All these devices are connected to the USB. Okay. The next one is networks. So in a simple computer, we are going to use what are the basic components. So this input device, processing device, output device, and storage device. So we are connecting more than one computer through the network system. So we can share the information through the network. That's why we are going to use this network system. So we want to share some information in the network. Now we need to connect the system. So more than one system can be connected to the network. So there are majorly three types of networks available. That is LAN, WAN. So LAN is a local area network. WAN is a wide area network. And also MAN is a metropolitan area network. There are two types of computer networks: local area network, wide area network, and metropolitan area network. And also we have the wireless network. So other than this, we have the wireless networks. Okay. So mainly networks used for sharing program. So sharing the programs, files, extras. So in this networking system, the server is the main computer controlling the other systems. So one major system is available. So all these systems are connected in the main system. The main system is called the server. The server going to control all the subsystems of the network. These are all the another basic. So next one is the software. So there are two major components in the system. One is hardware and another one is software. So what we have seen is hardware part. So next one is software. So what is software? I already told you the system itself cannot do anything. We are going to give the instructions to the system. So a software nothing but a program. And a collection of program is called as a software. So we need to know what is program. So program is nothing but a set of instructions. A set of instructions to the computer is called as programs. So the collection of program is make a software. So software is nothing but a program. So the program is a set of instructions to the computer. So the computer, what to do can be determined by the programmer. So the programmer gives the instructions to the system. So they are going to give the instructions. So what the process going to do. So the set of instructions is processed by the processor, then it executed by the output. So the program is nothing but a set of instructions to the computer. Programming languages. So program can be divided into machine language, assembly language, procedural language, object-oriented language. So machine language, assembly language, procedural language, object-oriented language, whatever the languages used for, we are going to specific purpose. Each and every language we are going to use. For example, the machine language and assembly language used by the system. This can be not used by the user, it can be used by the system. So whatever the information we give the instructions, definitely not understand by the computer. The computer only understand the bits and bytes. It does not know any A or B or any numbers. So it is converted into the system format. That is called as the system languages. That is machine language and the assembly language. The system definitely does not identify any characters, any numbers, any special characters, any function. So it is only identify the bit level information. So all the informations what you to the computer is converted into the system language. That is called as machine language and the assembly language. These are the system programming languages. The other languages like procedural languages, object-oriented languages is a high-level language. So this machine language and the assembly language is called as low-level language, and other than that, all these languages are called as high-level languages. Then, what is system software? So in a program, we have two types of software. One is system software and another one is application software. So system software is required by performing operations of the system. The application software is used for the user purpose. So the first one is system software. For example, to run the fundamental operations for loading and running the program, saving and retrieving the data, and communicating with printers, modem, extras. So all these functions are done by the system software. System software is nothing but the operating system. Okay. So we are going to use the any one operating system like that is disk operating system, Windows, Unix, and Linux. So DOS is a disk operating system, and Windows, Unix, Linux. Yeah, these are all the operating systems. These operating systems are called as system software. Yeah. System software used for to run the fundamental operations in the system. For example, loading and running the program, saving and retrieving the data, and communicating the printers, modem, and other devices. So these are all the system software. Okay. Next one is application software. So application software is used for to perform some task. For example, we are going to type one letter, means we can use this word software. We have to give some calculation, we have to use the Excel spreadsheet. Okay. We have to store some information, we have to use the database software. And other software like graphics, display position, educational software. There are so many application software we are going to use. The application software used for performing a certain task. A specific task can be done by this application software. Only the requirements, based on the requirements, we have to use the application software. For example, we need to type the information and we can go for MS Word. Okay. We can give some calculation based information, we can go for Excel. Okay. We can give some presentations, we can go for PowerPoint. Like that, what is the requirement? So to complete the specific task, we can use this application software. So system software is used for performing system operations, and application software is used for performing the user requirements. Yeah. Application software is for user purpose. The system software is used for system purpose.
Thank you so much, sir. Express our gratitude to you, sir, for being with us on this session. Your presence and gentle words are a source of encouragement and knowledge for all of us, sir. Thank you so much. Students,
Thank
if
you.
you have any queries, please post it in the chat box. Students, if you have any queries, please post it in the chat box.
And there is no chat box, ma'am.
Gratitude is the inward feeling of kindness received. Thankfulness is the natural impulse to express that feeling. Thanksgiving is the following of the impulse. So now I call upon Jacqueline from second year IT department to give a vote of thanks. Over to you, Jacqueline.
I will continue with the next slide, ma. Just wait for a few seconds. So I will continue with the next slide. So I will give you the present the what is problem solving. Okay, just wait for a few seconds to give you the presentation. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
So in the previous slide, I told you. So there are two types of software. One is system software, another one is application software. So whatever it is, okay, on the system software or application software, it can be developed by the program. So what is the purpose of program? Okay. So in this slide, how we are going to solve a problem. Okay. So through the programming only, we are going to solve the specific problem. So programming is a set of instructions that tell a computer what to do. So this is what I already told. Computer cannot do anything unless it has a program to tell what to do. The computer itself cannot do anything. We are going to give the instructions. Based on the instruction only, the computer going to execute the process and gives the result. Okay. So there are three programming languages I already told you. One is machine language and assembly language. These are all called as low-level languages. And another one is high-level language. So the low-level languages used for system purpose. The system going to use this machine language and assembly language. This is cannot be understood by the user. The system only going to identify this language. So it is in the form of binary formats. The binary format I already told you only in the form of bits, zeros and ones.
Sir, your audio is not clear, sir.
Just a minute, ma. The machine language and assembly language is a low level language. Are you clear?
Yes, sir. Still more louder.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. The machine language and assembly language is called as a low level language. Okay. The system only going to understand it is in the form of binary digits. Okay. It is zeros and ones. The high level language is normal written English language. We are going to write only in the high level language. Whatever the programs you are having, you are understanding is called as high level language. The user purpose. Okay, the user going to use this high level language, but the system cannot understand the high level language, so it must be converted into any low level language, that is machine language and assembly language. Okay, so the programming languages can be divided into two categories. One is low level language and high level language. Okay, the fundamental language of the computer processor. Okay, the machine language is the fundamental language of the computer's processor. So it is also called as low level language. So all the programs are converted into machine language before they can be executed. Okay. So whatever the user give the instructions using the high level language, it must be converted into the machine language before they can be executed. Okay, and because the system cannot understand any high level language. So the machine language consists of combination of zeros and ones. Okay, it represents the high and low electrical voltage. It is nothing but okay, zeros and ones are into the, it is on or like switch. Yeah, the information can be stored only in the form of these bits, okay, zeros and ones. This is called as machine language. The next one is assembly language. This is also the low level language. It is also the similar to machine language. Okay, it is cannot be understandable by the user. The user cannot understand the assembly language. The system only going to identify the process. Okay. So assembly language using the symbolic operation code. Okay. It is used some symbolic operation code to represent the machine operation code. Okay. So it is also similar to zeros and ones, but some instructions are added in this assembly language. Okay, so assembly language is a low level language similar to machine language. And high level language. Okay, the computer languages that are easier to learn. Whatever we have written using this English format. Okay, so this English statements can be understandable by any user. So it can be like C, C++, Visual Basic, Python, Java, C Sharp, whatever the languages we are going to use using the English language, it is called as a high level language. So anyone can easily understand the language. So that's why it is called as a high level language. So these languages are easier to learn. So we are not able to read the low level language. We are going to be able to read only the English language, so that we can use the high level language to give the instructions to the system. So why we are going to study this programming languages? Okay. So I already told you. So the system cannot operate itself. We are going to give the instruction. So for this, we are going to study the programming languages. These programming languages used for develop the programs, that is softwares. Okay, softwares program is same terminology. So only thing is a collection of program. Software is nothing but a collection of program. That's all. Okay. So to become a better software engineer, okay, so we have to know programming language. So using the programming language only, we are going to develop the softwares. So to become a better software engineer, definitely we have to know the programming language. Through the understanding how to use the language features, whatever it is. There are so many languages. I already told you: C, C++, Java, C Sharp, .NET, Python. So we are using so many languages. So using any one of the languages based on the features. Okay. So you can use any one language. It appreciates the implementation issues. Okay. Whatever the language we are going to choose, that can be solve the issue. So mainly, why we are going to develop a program is to solve your problem. That's why we are going to develop a program, so that the software must be avoid the issues. Okay. And better background for language selection is familiar with the range of languages. There are so many languages. Good languages have some advantages and disadvantages. So what is our need? Based on the need only, we are going to choose the languages. Yeah. So understand the issues, advantages, and the disadvantages. Yeah. So based on the requirement only, we are going to choose the language. Okay. For example, we are going to develop a web-based application. Definitely, we have to choose the C# .NET or ASP.NET, like that. Yeah, we are not going to choose the C or VB, like that. These programming languages only for the standalone system. Okay, a simple application and the development for the Visual Basic and the C is not for web-based application. Yeah, so web-based application, we can choose the particular language. So like us, so what is the requirement? First, we have to understand the requirement. Based on the requirement only, we have to choose the language. Yeah. So for studying the programming languages, we have to better able to learn languages. You might need to know a lot. Yeah. So what is the advantage? What is the disadvantage? Okay, the better we have to learn the programming languages. Then only we have to identify what is the purpose of this language, what is the advantage of this language, what is the disadvantage of this language. So that's why we are going to use the studying the programming languages. So in a program development lifecycle, so how we are going to develop a program? We have some development lifecycle. So first one is analyze. So what is analyze is define the problem. So what problem we are going to find a solution. So first is what is the problem? That is the analyze. We have to analyze what is the problem. Then only we are going to do the solution. So without identifying the problem, how we are going to do the solution? So that is the first phase, analyze. Defining the problem. What is the requirement of the data? Identify. That is called as analyze. Next one is design. So design is plan the solution to the problem. So how we are going to solve. So okay, I can identify the problem in analyze part. Next one is design part. So this design part is used for plan the solution to the problem. How we are going to solve this issue. Identify. That is called as design. Third one is choose the interface. So what type of interface we are going to use? That is called as third one. Next one is coding. That is the identification of problem or solution of the problem is only in the hard copy. Okay. So the system cannot identify any informations by the text. So we are going to do some coding part. The system only identify the coding. So we have to translate all these algorithms into the any one programming language. That is for coding. So translate the algorithm into the any one programming language. Next one is debug and test. That is bug means error. So debug means we are going to avoid any issues, any errors in the program. So we have to test. Yeah, then only we have identified the errors. So the debugging and testing is locate and remove any errors in the program. So next one is documentation. So we can give the clear instructions to the user. So we are giving to all the materials to the user to describe the how we are going to use. So that is called as documentation. So these are all the program development lifecycle, or it is known as SDLC, software development lifecycle. Okay, so SDLC means software development lifecycle. So first one is analyze. Analysis, defining the problem. Second one is design, planning the solution to the problem. Third one is interface, that is choosing the interface, any of the interface to provide the solution. Fourth one is coding, that is translating the algorithm to the programming language. And fifth one is debugging and testing, that is avoiding the errors in the program. Final one is documentation, to give the materials to the users to describe the. So these are all the program development lifecycle. So in this program development lifecycle, so we are going to develop a program through the tools. So we have some programming tools. Through these tools only we are going to develop the program. So what are all the tools we are going to use is flowchart, pseudocode, algorithm, and timing. Okay. So the flowchart is used for graphical representation of the algorithm. So instead of providing the information, it is a graphical format that we can easily identify. That's why we are going to use the flowchart. So it is a graphical representation. Yeah, instead of text, we are going to use the pictures. Okay, some symbols we are going to use in the flowchart. So the graphical representation of algorithm is using the flowchart. The logic diagram to describe each step in the program to perform the arrival solution. Okay, using the flowchart, we can give the logic of the program through some symbolic notation. Okay, a graphical notation, you can give the solutions to the problem. That is called as flowchart. So these are all the symbols used for flowchart. The programmer prepared the flowchart before the code. Most common flowchart symbols are these are all the symbols. So what is the initial state, start symbol? What is the final state, end symbol? What is the input symbol? What is the output symbol? So for each and every operation, we have different symbols. Using the symbols, we are going to develop a flowchart. Yeah. So what is the purpose of flowcharting? To develop the logic of the program, to provide the means of communication with others about the program, a guide in coding the program, and documentation for the. So these are all the purpose of flowchart. So you can easily identify how the program is going to execute through this flowchart. So it is easy for identify, and it is easy for understanding. So developing the logic of the program using this flowchart, it provides the means of communication with others about the program. So those who are going to see the program, they can easily understand through these notations, the symbolic notation. Yeah. Through this flowchart only, we are going to develop the code. Okay. So guide in coding the program. And also it is required for the documentation purpose, better understanding. This are going to use the program for better understanding. They have to use this flow charting. Yeah. So for documentation also we can use this flow chart. So this is the format of flow chart for a simple addition. So what is the symbol we are going to use for input? What is the symbol we are going to use for output? What is the symbol we are going to use for process? Okay. So for adding of two numbers, this is the example for the flow chart. Rounded corner oval symbol is for start and end. Okay. We are going to start with the symbol. So we have some rules and regulations that is in this flow chart. So this is the symbol used for output. This is the symbol used for process. Okay. For example, the rectangle symbol is to for the process. For example, here we are going to use C equal to A plus B. So this is the expressions we are going to done in this problem. Okay. So we are going to try to add the two numbers. So C equal to A plus B. This is the processing statement. This is the example for flowchart. Another one is what is pseudocode? It is also a program design technique that uses English words. Instead of graphical symbols, we are going to use the English words. For example, the same, we are going to add two numbers means we are going to use this begin. So number 1 and number 2. Sum equal to number 1 plus number 2. Print sum n. This is the example of pseudocode. So it is also have some notations. For example, we can always start with begin and must with end. We can use the capital letters for keywords. Begin, read, print. So all these letters are in capital. Okay. So we have to use this pseudocode format for understanding the program. Okay. It is also a program design technique using the English words. Okay. Instead of graphical symbols, some basic English words you can use. For example, read for getting the input, print for providing the output. Begin and end is start and end. Okay. So in flowchart we are going to use the stop. Here we are going to use end. In flowchart we are going to start. Here we are going to use the keyword begin. Okay. This keyword has to be used in the pseudocode. Pseudocode is a program design technique that uses the English word. Yeah. So next one is the algorithm. So algorithm is also, it is a step-by-step procedure for solving the problem. This is also for solving the problem like flowchart and pseudocode. It is a step-by-step procedure. Okay. It is also can be written in a simple English. Yeah. So each and every instruction should be precise. Okay. Should have an end point. So algorithm also have an start and end point. It must be very precise to solve the problem. Okay, it is a step-by-step procedure. So we have to start with step 1. Okay, and step 2, step 3. Like this, we are going to solve the problem. So this is the example of algorithm. For the same thing, step 1, we are going to use start. Step 2, read A. Again, step 3, read B. In step 4, we are comparing the values. Like if A greater than B, then it is 4.1. That is print A is greater, else again 4.2, print B is greater, and step 5, stop. Okay, so for comparing the two values, we are going to use this algorithm. Okay, so read A and read B. If A greater than then, print A is greater. Otherwise, print B is greater. Okay, this is the example of algorithm. Okay, so these are all the tools. Okay, we are going to develop the program. Yes, sir.
கேக்குதோ இல்லையா?
Hello. Next one, program. A program is a set of instructions that a computer uses to perform a specific function. Okay. So we can use the program tools only for understanding. So, but the computer can only understand any programs that can be developed by programming languages. So that can be in the high level language. Okay, a program is a set of instructions that a computer uses to perform a specific function. The programs are created using the specific programming languages such as C, C++, Java, .NET, Python, Ruby, any one of the language. Okay. These are high-level programming language that are human readable and writable. Okay. A program is a set of instructions that can be created using any language. It can be understandable by the human. That is called as high-level language. I already told you these languages are not understood by the system, so that these languages are then translated into the low-level machine languages. Then only the system able to understand. So it is by compilers, interpreters, and assemblers. Okay. So within the system, the compilers, interpreters, and assemblers are used for converting the high-level language into low-level machine language. Okay. So this is the example of program in C. Okay. So whatever the flowchart, pseudocode, we are also what is the program for adding the sum of two numbers. So this is the example program. For example, we have to follow the syntax. Okay, in any programming languages, we have to follow the syntax. So whatever it is, for example, in a C language, we are going to first include the header files. It must be within the opening brace and the closing brace. It must have main statement. Likewise, so every languages have some rules. So we have to follow the rules. Then only we have to get the output. Otherwise, we can get the errors. Okay. So this is the sample program for adding the two numbers in a C language. Okay. I already told you the software can be two types. One is system software and another one is application software. Okay. System software, the word itself referring to any computer software which manages and controls the hardware for the system purpose. Okay. System software is for the system purpose. So it can be manage the hardware components. Okay. Application software is a computer program that performs the specific function. Okay. It is for any specific purpose. Yeah, likewise, I already told you, Word is used for documentation purpose, Excel is used for calculation purpose, PowerPoint is used for presentation purpose. Like that, for a specific purpose, we are going to use the application software. Okay. So operating systems such as system softwares like Windows, Linux, Unix, and Mac. Okay, these are all the familiar operating systems we are going to use. And also some commonly used applications of softwares are word processor, database softwares, spreadsheet software, presentation softwares, and educational softwares. Okay. Okay, operating system is a system software, but we have to know what is the basic function. So generally, we have to understand what is going on. So operating system is a software makes a computer to actually work. Okay. So without operating system, we are not able to work in the system. So operating system is most important for making the computer work. So it is the software that enables all the programs to use. Then only we are going to use the program. Whatever we are going to use, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, must be needs operating system. Without operating system, we are not able to do with this software. So operating system is a software that enables all the programs we are going to use. The operating system organizes and controls the hardware. So the hardware equipments, so all the storage devices, input devices, processing devices, output devices, all the hardware equipments devices are controlled by this operating system. Okay. And also the OS act as an interface between the application program and the machine hardware. Yeah, so we are going to interact the system through the application. Okay, that is software. But all the informations can be stored in the hardware part, storage devices. So the OS is the responsible for interface between this software and hardware. Okay. So it is mainly used for interface between the application program and the machine hardware. So these are the operating system. So in the operating system, we need the high level languages can be converted to low level language, then only the system is going to understand. So using compilers, interpreters, we are going to convert the high level language to low level language. For example, a compiler is a program that reads a program in one language, that is the source language, and translate into the equivalent program in another language, that is the target language. For example, C, C++, Java. So I show one program in the previous example of program, C program, adding the two numbers. So that is given by the programmer, but this program is not understandable by the system. So that program is converted into the low level language using this compiler. So this compiler is converting the C high level language program into low level language. Now another one is interpreter. It is also a conversion. Okay, so compiler and interpreters both are used for converting the high level language into low level language. But what is the difference is, an interpreter is a computer program that translate and execute the instructions written in a computer programming language line by line. That is, so after completing the entire program, only we are going to execute in a C, C++, Java. So in interpreter, each and every line can be executed immediately. That is the difference between the compiler and the interpreter. So both are used for converting the high level language into low level language, but a compiler is converting the entire program, rather the interpreter converts the line by line. Okay. For example, Python also is a interpreter. We are going to study Python language. So other some interpreter languages, Perl and Lisp. These are all the interpreter languages. Okay. A computer program can be translates the high level language into low level language by line. Okay. That is called as interpreter. So these are all the application software. What is the purpose we are going to use? I already told you some specific purpose. We are going to use the application softwares like word processor. So it is a tool used for creating, editing, and printing the documents. Okay. So for the documentation purpose, we are going to use this word processors. So it has some capabilities like spell check, yeah, and some size formats, characteristics appear. That is bold, print, italic, underline. Like that, we are going to formatting the document for better viewing. Okay, and also we can have some alignments and size of the document. So Microsoft Word is a documentation software for creating, editing, and printing the documents. This and also spreadsheets. The spreadsheets are used for calculation purpose. Okay, we are going to use the numbers and formulas using the spreadsheet. We can create the budget, payroll, grade calculations, all these things using the spreadsheets. The most commonly used spreadsheet is the Microsoft Excel. Okay, Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint is cumulatively called as MS Office actually. So these are all the famous application softwares for the user purpose. And also you have to use the presentation softwares, like we are going to slide shows, okay, with the sound and the animations. We have to use the PowerPoint presentation. These are all the some examples of application softwares. So wait for 3 seconds. I will give you the another slide. So whatever we have studied in previous slide is the basics of computer. Okay, so for better understanding the some terminologies, I will give you some reminder. So what is computer? What is hardware? What software? What is application software? What is system software? What is OS? What are the functions of operating systems? And what are the purpose of system software? What is the purpose of application software? So these are all the some basic terminologies about the basic concepts about the basic system. So that I'll give you the basic introduction about Python. So we are going to study the problem solving and the Python subject. Yeah. So I'll give you the introduction about the Python. This software is created in 1990 by Guido van Rossum. Yeah. So after the software is changed to Python. For usage purpose, it is released in 1991. After that, in a general language format, we have to use the 1994. It is the open source software. So what is the open source software is? Any users can modify the customize the program for their own purpose. Okay. Whatever the softwares, paid softwares, we have to purchase it. But Python is the open software. We can, whatever the modification required, we can easily edit the requirement based on the requirement. That is open source software. Okay. So why we are going to study the Python is there are so many languages, C, C++, Java, all these languages we have. So why we are going to study Python? Yeah. The main thing is it is the scripting language. Yeah. That means I already told you all the programs in the written in the high level language must be converted into the low level language. Okay. So that can be done by the compiler and the interpreter. Okay. But the compiler only compiles the complete program after completing the entire program. Okay. But Python is the scripting language, that is, it uses the interpreter. Yeah. So we can convert a line by line execution. So it is easy to develop. That's why we are going to use the Python. That is the scripting language and also object oriented language. What is meant by object oriented language means there are reusability. So whatever the code we have already written, that can be many times can be used for many purpose. That is called as object oriented. For example, C++, Java, all these languages are object oriented language. Like this, Python also supports the object oriented, and it is a portable language and powerful language. Why it is portable and powerful means, for example, in a C program, without declaring the variables, we are not able to use the variable. I show one program in C program actually, some of our numbers in the initial statement, it is some header files like hash include stdio.h. After that, void main. After that, opening base. Then we have to specify integer a, b, c like that. So for getting the two numbers and for adding the two numbers, storing result, we need three variables a, b, c. So we must declare these variables integer a, b, c. Without this declaration, we are not able to use these variables. We are not going to assign the values to these variables. For example, I cannot able to write a equal to 10 without declaring integer a. Okay. So first I have to declare integer a, then only I have to assign possible to assign the value a equal to 10. So declaration பண்ணாம நம்மளால values use பண்ணவே முடியாது. Okay. But in this Python, we have directly used the variables to assign the values. That is called as it is portable and powerful. So, and it is very easy to learn and use. So compared to other languages, for example, the same program for adding the numbers in C, we have around 8 or 9 lines. But in Python, it is possible only in 3 lines. We can the same program written in Python only in 3 lines. So that's why we are going to say it is easy to learn and use. And also it have the features from Java 12. Okay. So there are other languages like Java and the Perl features also included in this Python. Okay. So these are all the why we are going to study this Python. So where we are going to use this Python? So there are so many languages available. I already told you. For example, I am going to use the Visual Basic means it can be used only for single user system. Okay, for a single user, we can develop one application like billing. Now we can use the billing. But I want to develop the web-based software. It cannot support by the billing. So we can go for .NET or Java. Okay. So every languages used for the particular specific purpose. What is the requirement? So based on the requirement only, we are going to use the language. So likewise, the Python have more features. So that's why we are going to study this Python. We can define the system utilities. Okay, using the Python program, we can define the system utilities. Also, we can create a guise like Windows, GTK, or Qt. And also, we can write a internet scripting like web-based programming language. And also, it is used for embedded scripting language. And also, it is used for database programming, and artificial intelligence, and image processing. That is, meaning of this is it can be widely used for many purposes. That is the advantage. Okay, so we can use it for system utilities also. We can use it for database programming also. We can use it for image processing also. So for variety of purpose, we are going to use it Python. So that's why we are going to study Python. There are many uses. Whatever the requirement. Based on the requirement, we are going to develop the program using this Python. And what is the language features of Python? So I told you it is object oriented. So what is meant by object oriented is reusability. So reusability is the main important part in the programming language. Okay. Once I can make some code that can be used for many times. So that is the main concept of object-oriented concept. So Python supports the object-oriented features. And another one is interpreter. That is, it executes line by line so that we can identify the errors immediately. Yeah. So what is the advantage is interpreter is we can identify the error immediately. So what is the mistake? Is there any mistake now? We can immediately correct the error. That is the advantage of interpretation. And more interactive. So what is the meaning of interactive means? So in the advanced version, they give the extended format. So what is the syntax? For example, I will give you some print statement. It have some values of interest. It gives some identification, helping statements. That is the interactive. And what is dynamic means? I already told you. It is the multi-purpose language for scripting, web-based programming, database programming. So all the purpose we are going to use. That is dynamic. And functional and highly readable. Yeah. So what is meant by functional and highly readable means? So instead of other programming languages, it is portable. I will tell you. So it is very compact. We can create in 8 lines in C program. We can create only 3 lines in the Python, so that it is highly readable. Okay. So that these are all the features of Python language. Okay. Why we are going to study the Python. So these are all the topics we are going to study in the Python. So all these 5 units, I will give you the short terms in this future. Okay. These are all the topics of 5 units. Why we are going to study these topics. The basic types. What is meant by basic type means? So we can use the literals, values, all these expression statements using these numbers and strings. These are all the types. Okay. And container types, that is list, dictionaries, and tuples. Okay. For storing the values, we can use the container types from the basic type. So number strings are also used for store the values, but for the list of values, a group of values, a set of values that can be available in the container types. That is called as list, dictionaries, and tuples. Okay. Using the variables only, we can store the values. Okay. So, what are the variables? What are the types of variables? How we are going to assign the values? What are the operators we are going to use? So, all these are studying in this topic. The next one is the control structure. So what do you mean by control structure is decision making. Yeah. So like I already told you, if I view the two numbers, I want to find which one is the greater value, biggest value. Now we have to compare. Then only we can identify the which one is the bigger value. So that is called as control structure. Okay. For comparing the value, we can use some conditional statements. Okay. That conditional statements are called as control structures. If else, like that. Okay. And also looping statements. Okay. For repeated executions. For example, I want to print a numbers of 1 to 10. That can be natural numbers 1 to 10. I want to print out. Now we can use any one of looping statement, for loop, while loop, like that. Okay. These are the statements specified in this control structure. Then functions and procedures. So functions and procedure is a object-oriented concept executions. Okay, we are going to give some functions, ready-made function that can be used by many times. Okay, whatever the we can define the function can be used by many times. That is the functions and the procedures purpose. Okay. And also like C++ and Java, we have classes and instances. Okay. We can create a objects in the classes. Okay. And also we can create the instances of the object through the classes. And also we have modules and packages. Modules and packages are group of functions and procedures. We can create a module. Okay. A function is a set of statements used many times that can be cumulatively available in the used for
Sir, your voice breaking, sir.
no why sir. Okay. Modules and packages can be a many functions and procedures. Okay, it is a cumulative of many functions and procedures that can be combined into the modules or packages. Exceptions are used for handling the errors. Okay, so whatever the errors can be raised in the program, we can avoid the error using this exception statement. Also, files and libraries. Files and libraries are used for maintain the supporting the file concept. Okay, for storing, retrieving files using the Python. Okay. And also we have some standard library function that is defined already available in the Python. Also we can create our own library for the functions that can be used for the user purpose. So these are all the topics we are going to study in this problem solving under Python programming. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Programming
Any
is
queries?
not about what you know, it's about what you can figure out. We wish to express our gratitude to you, sir, for being with us on this session. Your presence and gentle words are the source of knowledge for all of us, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Students, have any queries? Please post it in the chat box.
chat box இல்லக்கா கேள்வி கேட்கணும்க்கா.
One second, enable பண்ணிட்டாங்கப்பா. You can ask now. The feedback link is posted in the chat box. Kindly fill it. Sir, Roshni asking that, sir, you will teach how to create a program?
Yes, ma'am.
Roshni
Hello.
asking that, sir, Roshni asking that, you will teach how to create a program?
No, I'll give you only the basic steps. I'll teach in the following classes for how to create a program. I just give you the sample program.
Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. I say one a lot. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humanity, understanding. So now I call upon Jacqueline from second year IT department to give a vote of thanks. Over to you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, JST. Good morning to one and all. I am A. Jacqueline Immaculate of second year IT department. It's my great pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on this special occasion. First, I'd like to thank Almighty God for giving us this day. I thank our management, principal, and vice principal for arranging today's event of the Bridge Course for our freshers. I thank our speaker, Mr. V. Ramachandran, Assistant Professor, Loyola Institute of Technology, who had given us valuable time for us. And moreover, it gave a deep insight into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. Will definitely help the freshers in their studies and future endeavors. I also who helped us. Last, complete involvement patient with a grand success. Once again, I
Thank you, students.